Yeah, and then click farthest left. That one. Up. No.
I was going to say.
There we go. We are live finally. Guys, welcome back to Between the Ropes TV. As always, I am joined by Josh and Ben. We're going to be reacting to the Smith-Fowler fight and obviously some of the other fights in the card itself as well. It was a decent fight, weren't it, really? I mean, I think, just to start it off in general, it was a bit of a shock in the first round, wasn't it, with Fowler? You wondered if that maybe he could have finished it early, but yeah, it was a good fight, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, a good fight, a strong start off Fowler, which I think caught Liam Smith off guard, and I don't blame him for that. I think everyone thought it'd be a bit of a chess match for the first round, and it wasn't. And then I think you'd have to say from there, Liam Smith showed, why there's levels to boxing. I do think he won the third round. I thought Andy Lee's scorecard was a little bit harsh when I showed it at 6.
Yeah,
didn't make a difference in the end, though.
No, he didn't make a difference in the end. No, Liam Smith just went through the gears, didn't he? And I think we've got to say credit to Fowler really, because he showed heart there, didn't he? He got up in the 5th round, quite a nasty cut, and he saw it through to getting stopped. But I think a lot of people thought that.
I think he came to fight though, didn't he? Fowler especially. Smith went in with his game plan. Fowler went in to fight and try and prove people wrong. I think first 4 rounds he went in, it was very even. Then after he went down that 5th, it was like it got to him and he never quite got his head back into it after that point. But it was a war, and I think it was what it said on the tin. It's what was sold to the fans. I think it's what the fans got.
Yeah,
I think same with the Cheeseman fight.
I think the interesting thing was obviously when he picked up the cut in the first round, Smith. You did wonder if Fowler was going to go on to finish it off, which he didn't. And then I think was it round 3 where then Smith actually cuts him as well. The fourth round. I think that's when everything changed. I think maybe Fowler, he didn't really. You could tell he wasn't quite ready for the fight, in my opinion, and perhaps it was the wrong time to do it.
I think it was the right time. I don't think you're ever going to get a Smith at any other time. I think if you fight Smith when he's on the downhill of his career, you won't get the respect you'd get for beating him now. So I credit to Fowler. I think he was right to take the fight because he could have pulled it off, but unfortunately today that just didn't happen. And Smith wins and carries on, doesn't he? We'll see what's next for Fowler. I know Josh would like to see the Ted Cheeseman Fowler fight.
No, I would. I mean, they both lost out. I was going to say that moves us sort of on nicely. We had 2 sort of 154-pound wars tonight, didn't we?
Yeah, for sure.
Cheeseman and Williamson. I mean, I got that one wrong. I thought Ted Cheeseman, he loves the war. He's been to those deep waters before. Williamson, in fairness, hasn't. And I thought that would really show. But fair play to Troy Williamson.
He looked good.
He did look good, didn't he? I mean, I agreed with what Tony Sims was saying in the corner. A lot of his work was quite wide, how he was coming in. But, at the end of the day, when you're dropping bombs like that, I mean, Cheeseman can take a punch, can't he? And it was a vicious stoppage.
Yeah. I think with Williamson, though, he took the punches. It's the first time we got dragged into deep waters. And the shots that Cheeseman's landing, some of them, they look like they rocked him a bit, but he carried on through them. And he never shied in it. It's like he fed off those shots, I think. And the more Cheeseman unloaded on him, the more openings he had for Cheeseman because he was able to shake all them big shots off. I think that's why we saw a good performance and demonstrated his power, didn't he, at the end?
Yeah, of course, definitely. You wonder. Obviously, we spoke about a little bit about what's next for Fowler. What do you reckon's next for Smith then after the win?
For me, I think it's got to be a world title fight, really.
Yeah.
Or certainly, I don't know whether it's a final eliminator. The thing is, that fight is bigger for us in Britain than it probably is worldwide in terms of recognition that'll actually get Liam Smith. But really, it was a step. Saying a step down is harsh, but in reality, it probably was a step down for Liam Smith. He was unlucky last time out. In my opinion, he was sort of robbed over in Russia against Kurbanov. I mean, would we even get that rematch?
I think when people say he's robbed, I think you've always got to go for the rematch. And I'll say this many a time on this channel. I think if you win and all the fans think you lost, you should go and prove them right.
Yeah.
I think there's so many examples you can go to about it, but this is one. Like I know we was on about on our last live with Campbell Hatton. You lost that.
Yeah.
Take the rematch. You can't get the ref to make it like say you won. You can't do anything about the result. So prove everyone wrong, take the rematch. And I think that's the thing. Kurbanov, take that rematch, prove why you think you won it and why you're the better fighter.
No, for sure. And I think it was an interesting, obviously we spoke about the Cheeseman fight. He did well in that fight, but I think, again, it was a case of getting outclassed. Let's move on to, obviously, one of the fights in the earlier card. We saw Ryland Charlton take on Luke Willis. It was a close fight, but I think Luke deserved he did deserve the win. Ryland didn't. It took him a few rounds to get going, didn't it? In my view, obviously, we spoke and had Ryland on the channel before. But the early rounds, you feel like if you'd have got into it more quicker, we probably could have seen him pick up the win.
Yeah, we're fans of Ryland on this channel. He's come on and supported us, so we appreciate that. But I think Luke Willis, it was his footwork that won in this fight. Darren Barker, they sort of announced it quite aptly, I thought, with it being the Bull versus the Matador. And obviously on this occasion, the Matador won. But I think it was his footwork. Every time Ryland, he tried to pressure it, he tried to take the fight to him, which it's why as fans we love him, isn't it? Because, it's a very fan-friendly style. And to be honest, he did look a beast, obviously, as we've said all week, at 135. But I think Luke Willis too slick. His footwork, that was what won him the fight. The 10th round, in fairness, I've got to give a shout out to Ryland. I know we'll probably get accused of being biased, but what a 10th round that was. He really did put the pressure on.
It was dominant, wasn't it, that round?
You saw the signs of the power as well coming out that he speaks about, and we know he has. Again, it's just a shame that we are fans of Ryland. It's just a shame that he didn't kick on in those first few rounds, because I think that's really what made the difference.
I think that I know you can say like we bias towards Ryland because we are fans of his, but I think it was a southpaw that did him, because he was southpaw. He was a step away, and Ryland had to take 2 steps to get to him. Whereas if he was an orthodox stance, Ryland can stand kind of on the inside, and I think he'd reach him and he'd catch him more. And I think just with Willis, the way he was stood, with that southpaw, he was always there to backtrack. And every time Ryland stepped in, he could see it coming. He was able to step out. And I think whereas orthodox, when Ryland stepped in, he would have had time to catch him before he backtracked a bit. And I do think that's where Willis used his southpaw to his advantage. And I think that got him the win, definitely.
I think, definitely. I think it was a deserved win as well, in all honesty. Let's move on. Where should we go next then?
Well, I think there's one quite blatant talking point, isn't there, in the women's division?
World title changed hands.
Yeah,
kind of.
Kind of, did it? So just in case you've been living under a rock for the last sort of 24, 48 hours, Shannon Courtney lost her belts yesterday on the scales. She came in 2.5 pounds overweight. So that obviously meant tonight the fight still went ahead, which was great for us as boxing fans, but only Jamie Mitchell could obviously win the belt. And that was what we saw, wasn't it? For me, Mitchell controlled the pace. I wouldn't say it was dominant. It definitely wasn't a clean sheet. But for me, she won it convincingly. I was quite sort of surprised, borderline not too happy with how Shannon Courtney handled herself at the end.
Wasn't gracious in defeat.
Not at all, no. She was the champion of sorts. So like she said herself, I've got the rematch, so the belt won't be with you for long. And for me, that's fine. If that's what you feel, great, go and do it. But don't take the limelight off Jamie Mitchell, who's got a great backstory for those that don't know. She was found in a foster home. Her parents left her there, and she ended up actually meeting her biological sister in the foster home. So it's a great story for anybody who wants to actually look into that. But, don't take the light off her tonight. I thought, she's beat you fair and square. I mean, Shannon Courtney raised a hand at the end, and her team didn't even look that convinced in reality.
Yeah, no.
I thought, she lost, take the defeat, go away, do your training. I don't mean this to sound as sexist as it possibly may sound.
That's great when you start a sentence that, isn't it?
But obviously, she came on a period, which is the reason for the weight. As men, we can't comment on that. If it's happened, it's happened.
Yeah.
But just put it down. It's one of those bad nights that, sadly in any sport you can have, isn't it? It's just been a bad 48 hours.
Come back from
it. I didn't like the way she handled that, to be honest.
For me, though, as soon as she came out to the ring, her head didn't look in it.
No.
She did not look in it. She looked like she didn't want to be there. From that first 2 rounds, she didn't get off the ropes, and she just soaked up the punches and the pressure. And I didn't, if I'm honest, I didn't like that. And I think the one of the highlights for me is a great fight, but at the end, Mitchell, when Shannon Courtney says that she's going to take the belt back, and Mitchell just turns and, well, you've lied to him before, you said you beat me, so how can we trust what you're saying? And I just thought, what
sure.
a thing to say. I love that.
No,
I love the attitude. And Joe, what, a rematch isn't a bad way to go.
I agreed with her though. I actually felt, it was a little bit. It was just not very nice of Shannon Courtney to handle it the way she did. Just take the defeat, and we'll move on. Peter McGrail, professional debut tonight. Now he won. It was a 6th rounder for his debut, which is sort of out the normal, but I like it. And I think his opponent was 2 wins, 8 losses. Ed Harrison.
Yeah.
That's not a bad record for your pro debut. I know he's coming in with some genuine pedigree, and I like that. But he was very slick tonight, I thought. The commentators alluded to it, didn't they? The fact that some of his moves he was doing, in fairness to him, were more of a seasoned professional as opposed to somebody making their pro debut. I know he's coming off Commonwealth gold, world gold. So the man can box. But I was still very, very impressed with Pete McGrail. What did you pair think?
I'll let you go.
For me, I thought he's very professional in the way he handled himself. And I think it was that perfect stage, wasn't it, for him to go out and make his debut and his hometown. And it was just great to see. And I thought he put on a professional performance and he boxed so confidently. You can tell the amateur pedigree he's got. And I really think he could go far. I know it's early days, you don't know, but there's some people that have just got that aura about them, and I see it with him. He knows what he's doing. He's from a fighting background. He said his brother's a 4th fight amateur, though, but nonetheless, it's installed in him. I think we're going to see a really good career by him.
Let me ask you both a question here. Obviously, it was a card that was talked about in such high regard. Do you think it lived up to the expectation? Because I feel like a few of the earlier fights, especially, maybe they weren't as entertaining as we perhaps thought they were going to be. Is that fair?
Do you know what? I'll go first because I feel like I'm going to get heat for this.
You get my drink, please.
I honestly think it was on paper brilliant card, top to bottom, and I thought I was, we had high hopes for this. If I'm being brutally honest, obviously I was disappointed that. Not in the fight. The fight was good, but I was disappointed Ryden lost. And then I thought Kieran Conway, JJ Metcalf, that's a fight we've not covered yet. I thought that was a good fight, but I think it was how we thought it would go. But slightly underwhelmed after that. And then obviously Ted Cheeseman, Troy Williamson. What an absolute war that was.
Yeah, that was brilliant. That was a good one. As Ray said, it was a terrific card. It really was.
But did it deliver? Ray, I mean, you're a knowledgeable guy, mate, so thanks for joining us. Do you think the card delivered from top to bottom like we thought it would? Because honestly, I don't necessarily feel like it did.
No, there was no edge of your seat for me. The fights were just, they were what they were. They weren't necessarily exciting fights, but I just think that the last 2 fights proved that they weren't great because they were wars, and that's what you wanted to see. And the last 2 fights were brilliant. The card on paper was great, but for me, the fights themselves, they could have been more entertaining.
Yeah, I think as you said, with the Cheeseman fight, and then obviously Smith Fowler, we got what we expected from those. They were wars, weren't they? At the end of the day, one more fight we've got to cover, and I forgot which one it was. Go on,
Kieran Conway, JJ Metcalf. Now, this quite hotly anticipated. I thought, both coming in off high-profile defeats. Obviously, Kieran Conway with the Suleiman Sissoko loss on the Canelo Billy Joe card. And then obviously, JJ Metcalf loss, for me, definitely a fight of the year contender.
Great, wasn't it?
To Ted Cheeseman. It was a brilliant fight that was. And I think it delivered what we expected. I think it was a closer fight than I thought it would be. I'll be honest, I thought Conway would keep him at range and sort of control the point and just clock up the rounds. Whereas Metcalf, in fairness, I think he forced the issue more than I thought he probably would. And it was quite close on the scorecards, and I agree with it. But I think the right man won.
Yeah.
And Conway, 25, he'll kick on now, won't he?
Of course. Yeah, sure.
I was hoping that we might have got the Ted Cheeseman rematch. I did actually put that on Twitter that if Cheeseman had come through as well.
Well, here's my question then. He drew with Cheeseman. Does he jump Cheeseman and go for Williamson now? Or is Cheeseman the next step for him? I think I'd like to see him against either of them again, if I'm honest. But then again, if I'm him, I'm thinking, I don't need Cheeseman now. I drew with him. I'll go for Williamson. It's a great fight. And
the Williamson one makes more sense to him now, doesn't it?
To him, yeah. I mean, I mean, you know, I'm going to just put it out there. I think Kieran Conway go for Troy Williamson. That'd be a great fight. It's proper, you know, a boxer versus a puncher. And then I'm going to say I've been banging the drum for this fight for over a year, so Ben's going to get the ump.
Yeah. It could be, yeah.
But for me, I want Anthony Fowler versus Ted Cheeseman. They've both come off losses. Both, it's a domestic war that will still deliver.
It makes me, yeah.
If Fowler's going to go down, well, not down again, but fight Cheeseman, he fights Williamson.
Yeah, of course.
He doesn't fight Cheeseman, does he? He fights Williamson.
But what's he done to deserve that fight? What's he done to deserve?
He's just fought the world
purely just because he was the main event today, weren't he? It would still be a step up for Williamson.
Being the main event today does not. It'd be a step up card-wise.
Card-wise, yeah.
Fight-wise, I don't think it would be a step up. Troy Williamson now is probably thinking, right, it could be, you know, Frank Warren fighter as opposed to, you know, your traditional matchroom on this card. He's probably going to be thinking bigger and better things now.
Although, we haven't... You finish what you're saying, and then come back to me.
Right, thanks for interrupting.
Yeah.
But no, I think you've got to look at it as that's still a huge fight. If you're on Matchroom going through, I mean, it won't be this year now, but if you've got a card coming February time, Fowler Cheeseman is a great fight to have on that card.
Agreeing with you.
Thank you, Ray. Finally, someone with sense.
Fowler was never at that level. His team completely underestimated Smith. I think I'd have to agree with that from what I've seen. You know, from what I saw tonight, he really wasn't at that level, and it was surprising, weren't it? Actually, how much he's definitely the enemy of the crowd, wasn't he? Which I found a little surprising, when they were both Liverpoolian fighters.
No, but he gets a little bit of a rough press, doesn't he, Fowler? You know, he's a bit like Marmite. People either love him or hate him.
I think they all hated him.
Well, tonight, yeah, but I mean, in the general public. Personally, I am a fan of Anthony Fowler, and I did predict Smith would win, but it did gut me to sort of make that prediction.
Does Cheeseman go for the Fowler fight though? Because surely Cheeseman might want to come into a fight where he's gonna, maybe get a couple of wins now.
Cheeseman's a fighter, isn't he? I think he just wants a war, doesn't he? So I think he'll go for it.
See, I think he might go. He would be pushing for the Williamson rematch. But whether you'd have to now go and do that on a Frank Warren card.
Well, this is what I was going to say when I interrupted you so nicely. Frank Warren, come on. He's got to rub his hands together a bit there. Him and Eddie Hearn, he's thinking to himself, his fighters beat Eddie's. I know it's not like the big names, but he must think, I've got one up on Eddie.
No, Eddie he'll take
he's going to be
anyone up.
He's texting Eddie right now, isn't he? Let's face it, he's texting him. And
you say it's not the big fight. It's still a British title, isn't it? You know, it's not to be sniffed at, absolutely. So I don't know. I think we could end up seeing that sort of rematch, and I'd like to see it. To be fair,
we're getting a bit of into Ray's backstory here.
Ray's just saying that he lived in Liverpool and knows how loved it. I think that's maybe what it was. It weren't the hate for Fowler. It was more just obviously Smith is the more loved fighter out the two. But yeah, definitely. I think it, as you say, the towards the end of the card, it definitely lived up to it. We're obviously going to be doing our watch along soon for Wilder versus Fury. Now that's an impressive card as well, isn't it? That's something that's going to be very exciting. And
yeah, but it's one of those cards where it's a good card, but everyone's just looking at the main event for that one, aren't they?
Oh, see,
there's a couple of good fights.
There's a couple of good fights, but I'm excited about Sanchez. I hope I pronounced it right. Ejugbu.
I'm going to go with no.
Yeah.
Didn't sound right.
No. And I'm really excited about Kovnacki. Hellenius too, because nobody expected Hellenius to pull off that win last time out. So I'm excited about that. It was, yeah. So, guys, stay on with us. Join us for that.
Yeah, we'll probably be live in about maybe an hour for that. Hour and a half. We'll advertise the live after we've finished on here. But going back to it, have we got anything else we need to talk about on this one? Or I think we said everything we need to, haven't we? Really.
I want to say thank you for Ray. Good point, Ben. Not very often you hear that.
No, well, I'll pull that up on screen just for you.
I'll take it when I can.
I'm going to be honest. I've got a lot of time and respect for Ray.
Not anymore. It's gone down, hasn't it?
Ray, you've lost your head, mate.
Yeah, guys. Thanks for joining us, those that have. And if you're watching it back after, let us know in the comments your thoughts on the whole card. Did everything happen that you expected? Were you impressed with the card? And hopefully we'll see all you lovely people for Wilder Fury. We'll be back in an hour. Take care.
Cheers.
And I can end it on here so you